Hello, gardening lovers, and welcome to Marvin Gardens August 2023. It's a delightful early evening out here. A little overcast, a little cool, but quite peaceful and very comfortable. And we're at late August, where, as I mentioned in the last video, the garden kind of peaks and then it just starts to drop off in its production and stuff like that. But there's still a lot going on, so let's see what's going on. Our usual suspects are out here helping me, and that's Frankie there off in the distance. And he's wondering where the corn is. The corn is long gone over there, but I did save him some ears, and I gave him one already, so I'll give him another one later. That's Cassie walking around. She seems to be enjoying herself. There's the ears of the dog ears of corn that I saved for Frankie. But let's start where we always start, which is right outside the greenhouse here, and you can see the Asian leeks or garlic chives are in very full bloom. Some are yet to bloom. The pond irises are kind of deteriorating in their look, which is typical for this time of year. And then on this end we have some more Asian leeks, and right there is a little bee of some sort enjoying the blooms. Now, we actually do have something to show you here in the greenhouse. So the onions, as you recall last time, were all lying out here to dry, but now I've cut all the tops off and just gathered them together in the three varieties to let them further dry for maybe a week or so. The bad news is it's kind of a meager harvest, as I said last time. The good news is there weren't too many that got mushy, so hopefully most of these will end up as usable, storable onions. All right, so time to step over here to bed number 1, and the marigolds are still blooming for the most part in the hanging planters, and I still have done nothing with the radishes that I left in the ground to see if they would get bigger. I don't know if they've gotten bigger or not, but I'll come in shortly to I'll pull those and see if we get any more. I'm not going to plant another planting this year. I got such a good harvest from the first time around. I haven't even used any of them yet. Now, you may see some more vacancies here than there were last month, but we still have 4 good red cabbage plants going, and they're a little chewed up, but they'll be fine. I think this is a cauliflower plant that just never did anything. And then we've got an equal number of storage number 4 cabbages, and they look like they should be harvested at any time, just to make sure they don't split or anything terrible like that. Then this is the original planting of broccoli, and we're still getting side shoots from them. And our second plantings, which are these other small plants out here, aren't doing much yet, but they could still produce what is painfully not producing much are the Brussels sprouts, and I'm afraid it's because they were having white flies, and I sprayed them with the same insecticide, um, against my better judgment, that I used on the eggplants, and the effect was the same. I don't know if there's any white flies anymore, but all our plants are dying, so there's a few Brussels sprouts down in there, but it looks like it's going to be another anemic harvest of Brussels sprouts again this year. Speaking of anemic, that's a kale buried in there, green kale. This is a red kale, and not much to look at. Oh boy. Then I'm sorry to say we never did figure out what to do with the cutting celery. So there it is, 3 feet tall, and some of it, like right in the center there, is going to seed. But I don't know. It looks like we might be beyond hope there. Oops, I aimed it a little too far down. This is Asian leeks, the other ones that are over on the herb garden, followed by a fairly healthy looking basil still. In fact, there's one right there behind the Asian leeks as well. And this is interesting. It's actually a ground cherry, and it's actually, for some reason, gotten bigger than all the ground cherries that I transplanted into a row, which I'll show you later. But it's the biggest wood, so I figured I might as well let it go. I don't see any rosemary in here anymore, but I do see a lot of weeds. Oh no, they're actually, that's the rosemary right there, if you can see it behind all the weeds. So it's still got some life in it. And same situation here with the thyme. It's growing just fine, but so are all the weeds that are just sort of infiltrating it. So that's no fun. Just a quick peek over at the pet memorial area, because the black-eyed Susans, or whatever they are doing pretty well. And the sleeping dachshund looks very peaceful. And I've got some chicks and hens that I've planted here. We'll see how they do. I don't know. Anyway, that brings us, well, where are you going? Woo! Thought you might want to take a look at the sky. These are cantaloupe. I can't quite remember the variety, but the problem with these guys is that you can see the browning of all the leaves and the yellowing of all the leaves. It's just so hard to keep these vines healthy for an entire season. Now, that right there is the most promising of the cantaloupe so far, and because not only of the size, but it's starting to get that, I don't know what you call that, but when it starts to get the veining and the veining is turning round and, brown, that's the only one that's that far along. But we at least we do have several melons, and these guys don't look too bad either. I'm just concerned that the vines aren't going to last long enough to ripen the melons. Now here's something interesting. We have a compost heap that looks like a compost heap. I went in there and tilled everything that was in there to break everything down a little bit. I also added some manure from a local horse farm, and then we've put some organic matter on top, so at least it kind of looks like a compost heap. Uh, Nothing to look at in the grow house. Um, I couldn't get pumpkins to grow in there. I planted carrots in there. Couldn't get them to grow. I haven't been able to. Well, I have one carrot. I don't even know if I have a picture of it that's worth showing. If it is, I'll put it out there. This is the. Oh, I always forget the name of it. Ah, yes. Cilantro slash coriander. Now, we didn't use much of the cilantro when it was in the cilantro stage, but I think all these little little doodads here are the seeds that make up the coriander. So maybe we'll get something out of that, although I'm not looking forward to that harvest. This is another basil that's doing quite well. This is an expired sunflower, but it did fine. And we had cumin down here. The only reason I know that is because there's a marker for it, but didn't do anything, or it died early on. These are calendula, and they've been coming in all season long. We've been cutting them and bringing them inside and enjoying them. I think I do have some pictures of that. And they're still going strong. These things that look like big old onions are scallions, if you remember last time. And even though they're way oversized and you wouldn't use the tops anymore because they're probably beyond hope, they still work well as freshly pulled onions. So that's what we'll use them as. And the rest of this is where all the onions used to be, now being sort of overrun by weeds, which I'll have to till in and do something with as we end the season. And these are sunflowers. Now, all these on this end are the ones that I formerly planted as strawberry sunflowers, strawberry blonde sunflowers. And they did quite well, but they're all done now. Now, these that are not done by a long shot are volunteer sunflowers that came up. That's a plant that has a few blooms on it. Well, except for the back ones there are not starting to bloom yet. I don't think I got them in focus either. But this here, there's a set of multiple blooming sunflowers, and they're still doing just great. And we've brought them in to enjoy inside, and we'll probably get some more enjoyment out of them. And then we come to straw flowers. There's not many that are actually blooming here because Vanina's come through and picked a lot of them, but they're inside and they're looking great. Now this is that row of ground cherries that just aren't doing very much. They're also being, unfortunately, overrun with weeds, which is my fault. And then this is another row of calendula that have decided they're done for the season. So that's why they look like just brown thingies. That brings us to summer squash. Now the summer squash has done really well. We've had loads and loads of all varieties. The scallop or patty pan squash gave up the ghost pretty easy, and you can probably see from the mildewy look and the browning and yellowing look that these guys are on their last legs. But I can't complain about what we've gotten out of these guys. And I think I can if I look carefully, yeah, here's one down here. There's a nice zucchini there, still coming in, with smaller ones behind it. But the plants themselves are definitely on the tail end of their existence. Now, there's one down there that I can't show you very well. Let's see. There's one that you can see. Whoops, pretty well. Hold on. Let me. It's hard for me to run the camera and hold back the leaves at the same time. But there we go. It's still partially hidden, but not a bad looking crookneck squash, and there's a few more of those coming in. Again, this year I'm not planning to do a second planting of anything really. I'm just letting things wind down. And speaking of winding down, if you remember what the corn looked like, doesn't look like that anymore, does it? Couldn't even use these stalks for harvest decor. But we got a really nice season out of them, and we've got dozens of them in the freezer. And we learned how to freeze them so that when you take them out and use them, they really taste like they are fresh corn on the cob. All right, so got lots of good peppers going on around here. We've harvested quite a few, and I'm supposing as I'm going on here, I'm going to be showing you harvest baskets of the various things. Of course, as you recall, we killed our eggplants with that same stupid insecticide, which I will never use again. Tomatoes, they are slowing down quite a bit, but still coming in. These are the Juliets, and you can see clusters of them happening. And these are aroma variety. I guess I can find one there. And so we'll get a few more of those. These beauties, of which there is a fine cluster right there, are called damsel, and they're a pinkish sort of medium size, and they've just been doing great. And for the first time in a long time, our beefsteak sized tomatoes have also been doing great, although everything is winding down right now. But you can see that's a nice cluster of damsels, and that right there is there's some dying leaves there, but you can see that that's a good sized tomato. And I don't see the vines dying enough to be a problem, so I think we're going to get quite a few more tomatoes. And Vanita has already made at least 8 gallons of tomato sauce, and we've had some great tomato sandwiches as well. Here's some bee balm. It's a bee gone, all done for sure. Now, I came out here today, and sorry, I'm not aiming this camera very well, and counted all the cattails, and it's close to, if not more than 30, which is amazing, because I think 2 years ago we got 15, last year we got 13, and they obviously have come to enjoy the Sky Manor Marsh, which is what this is supposed to be. I'm not going to go out to take a look at the asparagus patch. It needs to be weeded, and pretty soon it'll be done for completely. But we got a pretty good harvest, even though we were very late in coming up with our deer deterrent. See now, I should have known better. Frankie has found the corn on the cob. That is for him, but I wasn't intending to have him have it all at once. So I'm just gonna sneak in here and grab this bag and put it somewhere that maybe he won't get at. I don't know. It's hard to find a place. Okay, I think right there. So I ended up putting it in a drink holder. And like I've said, these are small ears that really were best suited for doggies, and he is thoroughly enjoying it. And the cobs themselves are young and soft, and he tends to chew them up completely. So that's why he gets to have them. Looks like somebody's been doing some harvesting. It wasn't me, so that leaves Vanina. Oh, but there's one of those really nice pink damsels, if I can get the focus on it. And a nice bicolored pepper right there. So that's a nice little basket. And that's probably why I didn't see as many red ones when I was out there just now. All right, so there's the hammock. I did use it this summer, at least once. Here's the water features. I have not checked the water pumps in them, so it doesn't look like they're working right now. But the water features themselves look fine. Here's the other one. And the rocks have kind of fallen in on it. So they need some attention, and so does this fence, because there's the middle one has fallen down, post and rail fencing. But there's Cassie, and I don't know if she knows quite exactly where she is, but she's, as you can see, sort of prancing around, and I think she's having a good time out here. So we'll take that for a 17-year-old pup. This has turned into a sort of mint jungle, and doing quite well, actually blooming. And speaking of mint and impatiens, I put them together in this pot, and they're doing great. This is peppermint, and I did try to make some chocolate chip mint ice cream, and it worked, but I need to use more peppermint in order to get a more minty flavor to it all. All right, so open this gate and come through here. We'll take a look at the pond, and then we'll take a look at the stone fruits. Now, the coneflowers are past their prime quite a bit, but still blooming. The pond is looking pretty darn good. I should have a polarizing lens to kind of block the reflections. But you can see that I've got lots of lily pads. We did get 3 blooming lilies, water lilies. I don't know if we'll get another one or not, but I'm actually thrilled that we got what we got. There's a couple of floaters there that are doing fine, and the water hyacinth Hadn't seen any blooms on the water hyacinth, but that's a bloom for sure. Let's see, do I need to focus on that? Yeah, and looks good, and so does this tropical plant that we purchased. I don't know if I'm going to try to winter it over or not, but it's doing well now. And then, of course, the waterfall area and all my little purple flowers, which I never remember what variety they are, but they're blooming. And this is a supposedly perennial dianthus, which got this one little bloom coming out. So that's interesting. Sort of bloomed in the spring and then hasn't done anything since. Speaking of impatience, these guys are doing great under the wishing well, and so are the various marigolds and, oh shoot, what are those? I can't remember the name of them. They look like impatiens, but they're not. So you can draw your own conclusions. The pool, which I always call the pond, but this time I called the pool. We haven't had much use of it because we haven't had a single 90-degree day in all of August. I'm hoping for a September heat wave because it's all set up, but I haven't been bothering to heat it because there's really no strong desire to go into it. Of course, as you remember, there is nothing on this pear tree, but we got stuff happening over here in the peach department. Now, let me see if I can find one. So, there it is, and what late August is, or the second half of August even, is when the stone fruits ripen. And so when I come out here, I look to see if there's something that has no green on it and is soft to the touch. In other words, it kind of gives a little bit. And then I'll give it just a little bit of a twist. And if it comes off, it's ready. And if it doesn't, I leave it alone. Now, the interesting thing about this tree this year is that they've just been harvesting themselves. And by that, I'm talking about that guy right there, which I'm trying to get down to and focus on. Whoops. That. And we'll pick that up. This, other than the fact that it has a stinking slug on it, is a lovely peach that has harvested itself. I touched the peach to try and get it to focus on the peach. So anyway, that is the way all of them so far have come to harvest. Is that going to focus? See, I have such a hard time. Let me quickly put this down so I can touch the focusing screen and the peach at the, without. Never mind. Anyway, there's your peach, harvested by itself. Looks wonderful, and that's the way all of them have come in. And guess what? We've had more than 2 dozen already, and counting. I think I have some pictures of a peach bowl and maybe some individual peaches. But we were cautiously optimistic, and everything has. This is the best stone fruit harvest we've literally ever had with these trees. And that includes what looks like is going to be a fine nectarine harvest as well, because as you can see, those are lovely deep red color. One of them fell off today and looked, except for one soft spot, looked perfect. And there's several more here to go. Not as many nectarines as peaches, but they seem to be just a little bit behind time schedule wise from the peaches. But I think we're going to end up getting almost a dozen nectarines. And I don't know if we ever got a nectarine before. So that's all pretty exciting and good news. And I'm just gonna see if I can get this thing looking at me again. Not that I'm much to look at. There we go. So I think that's going to do it. I'm going to step back into the garden proper. Cassie is right here to greet me. Frankie was looking at me while I was looking at the stone fruit. Right, boy? Because he always likes to see what I'm doing and is hoping maybe I'll come up with another corn cob for him. But that's going to do it. I intend to have another trail cam video for you, and I don't know. I think that's all. So I'm sort of rambling. Let's take one look around here, because the camera is sort of rumbling at me, like it doesn't know how to stabilize itself. But there's Cassie, and she's definitely not looking stressed at all, and she's probably following my sneakers because she can tell them or can see them, even as limited as her sight is. And there's the boy wagging his tail, and I'm just about to give him another ear of corn for participating in Marvin Gardens, August. That's pretty backlit, so do this way. Oh my goodness! Cassie's speaking her mind. But that always is encouraging, because it means she's either interested in something or she thinks something needs to happen that's not happening. So we always love to hear her give a nice bark. All right, we'll talk to you all next time. This is Marvin Gardens, August 2023. And we'll see you next month in September. And you know what that is. That's when fall falls. So hope you guys had a great summer and are still having a great summer, because we still got some time to go on it. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.
right?